Hi guys, I'm Jody Hand, Mrs. Hand Painted, and in today's video I'll be bringing you a little bit of Christmas in July with a red buffalo plaid tutorial in watercolor. And at the end of the video I did give some tips. If you're going to be doing this in a different medium other than watercolor, such as acrylic or gouache, you do want to do some different shades of black for the two different steps of black that we'll be doing, because watercolor is transparent and it layers on top, and you don't get that same effect if you're using oils or acrylic, other more opaque mediums. Because of watercolor's transparent nature, this is really great for layering. And if you didn't want to do the red plaid, go ahead and skip just the red wash and move on just to the black stripes, and you can have white and black buffalo plaid check. So have fun painting this, and this is the first of many Christmas in July videos I hope to make. So have fun and happy painting.
Okay, I just want to quickly go over my supplies that I had. I have a sheet of, this is 100% cotton B paper. I had a couple sheets left in my drawer I found, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. I believe it's a, what is that? It's a 6x9 sheet, and I just taped it down, just giving myself a little edge. I'm covering up on the edge to tape because I am going to be doing a wash across the entire page. If you have some blocks, this will be a good time to use that, because we'll be getting this entire sheet wet. So I've got that taped off. I don't really have haven't measured it or anything. I am using a ruler, and I'm also going to be taping off for my plaid. I'm measuring my tape here, and it was easier to go in the centimeters than it is inches. So if you're not American, you probably really like that I'm using centimeters, but if we try to do it with inches, it was like a weird 16th inch. So this washi tape I had around, I'm just wanting to use this as my guide to tape off after I do my second layer. So it is 1.5 centimeters. So I will be using that for the second step. And I'll need a pencil as well to do some little marks for my measurements of where I need to lay my tape. So I'll just save that off to the side. That is a Faber-Castell graphite aquarelle. It is a water-soluble graphite pencil, so your pencil lines will blend away with water. And I'm going to be using some flat wash brushes here today. I'm not really sure which one I'll use. I haven't used this yet. I just got it. And then I have a 3/4 inch, the square wash brush from the Princeton Neptune. And then this also came in that set. It's a 1 inch wash brush. It's nice, little short handle. Probably be nice for getting lots of water on the paper. So we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to try and do that traditional red and black plaid. And if you didn't want to do red and you wanted to do white and black plaid, just go ahead and skip this first step with the red wash, and we'll just do the black lines, so that you are having white background, which will be your paper, and then black for the paint. So I'm going to be using today, these are my Daniel Smith watercolors. I've got a permanent red deep and an ivory black. Or if you want to mix up your own black using your different primary colors, if you don't have a black, you can do that as well. But just for ease of mixing, I'm just going to go ahead and use those straight colors. And I'm going to go ahead and start by just wetting my entire paper, just so I can get a nice even wash. I'm getting some clean water. If you had a little spray bottle you wanted to use to help you just get this paper evenly wet, just make sure everything has a nice little shine to it, and you don't have any big puddles of water, because that will cause you to have those blooms, those little cauliflowery, fuzzy little lined effects that you can get. So we want to get a nice smooth wash for this effect. Alright, so I got that, and I'm going to switch over to my 3/4 inch flat here, and I'm going to get some of this permanent red deep in my palette here. I'm going to need quite a bit, so just going to mix up a lot so I get a nice red across my paper. And I've already lost a hair or something in there. Oh, bristle came out. Okay. Try and do some nice smooth strokes so I don't get any funky lines in there. I'm trying to work fairly quickly here because I don't want that to dry and give me any harsh lines. So I'm just trying to do a nice even wash across this. trying to make sure I don't have any really wet spots, that there's puddles or drips, because like I said, I'll get those funky little design elements that can be fun, but I don't want in this instance. I'm going to try my best to not have that, so I'm just spreading that paint out. And then the next step is to let this dry before we do our next layer, because wet and wet, I don't want to have a big black and red blob. I want nice crisp black lines over the top of my red wash. So I'm going to go ahead and use my dryer, and I'll just skip ahead. I just go ahead and pause it, wait for this to dry, or if you have a heat tool or hair dryer, go ahead and dry that. Do be careful when you have a heat tool and you have things taped down. A lot of times that can make your adhesive start to lift. So if you have the patience and time to let that dry and let that sit for 10-15 minutes or longer, however, depending your water soaked into your paper, you'll want to just let that dry. So I'm just going to be very careful and avoid my edges as much as I can. Alright, that is feeling pretty dry to me, just not on the tape so much. I'm going to go ahead and do the next step, and it'll give it a chance to dry just a little bit more while I'm marking this off, but I just want to mark the measurement lines of where I'm going to put my tape, and like we said before, it was 1.5 centimeters. And so I am going to just make some lines here along my tape. I'm actually just going to mark on my tape here. So 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5, 9, 10.5, 12, 13.5, and I'll probably be cut off on the side there, but that's okay. All right. Just gonna go ahead and mark it up here as well so that I can get a nice straight line. Okay, so we're going to start with just taping one direction and painting those lines because I want there to be an overlap. I don't want to have too much left red, so I want to make sure I get all of my vertical lines, and then we'll lift that up, dry it, and then we'll do that. But I'm just going to go ahead and mark it all now while I have the ruler and the pencil out, so I don't have to do it later because my lines won't disappear over here. So just going to go ahead and do all of the marking right now. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do my vertical lines first. I'm going to use those little tick marks that I made on my tape to just kind of guide me. So I'm going to start off by just masking this off. And just using those little marks to help me get nice straight lines. I like washi tape for this because I feel like it's really, really gentle adhesive and it doesn't pull like some other kinds of painter's tape, or it's less likely to lift up my paper and rip it. Now, if I'd really planned ahead, I guess I could have measured it and made sure I didn't have an odd amount here, but if you get really crazy and want to go ahead and do that, I guess I could just kind of mark here, and this could be the end of my paper, but yeah, whatever. It's just to be a little bit narrow stripe on the end there. Okay, so I want to do nice thick washes of black. You know what, I'm actually going to use, I have a little bit of narrower one here I want to use, the 1/2 inch one I want to use too. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just do some ivory black. I'm going to need quite a bit of this. If you want to just squeeze some out of your tube, it might save you a little time. Okay, go ahead and just cover and try to get a nice even amount so you don't have darker and lighter areas as much as you can. Remember that when we go across the other direction, we're going to be going back over that black, so it will get that second layer and you'll get that nice plaid. Sorry for the noise, someone is mowing the lawn outside. The only quiet time of day I get is after my kids go to bed. My husband is still working for the day though, getting things done. My only time of day to get some painting done is when the kids are sleeping, because they will not let me do this while they are awake. They have to be involved. And do your best to try to go just up and down and go with the direction of your tape. And the reason I say that is because you may lift your tape up a little bit and get it underneath there, and you won't get that nice crisp line that you're desiring. So just be conscious of that as you're painting. But it's nice to use a nice big flat brush so you can cover that whole area, and then you don't have to go over it too many times. And also, using a cotton paper versus an alpha cellulose based paper is the more washes you do over it, the more that paper is going to soak in. And sometimes some of those papers can start to break down and you get like little fibers of your paper coming up, and it isn't always desirable to have little bits of things on your paper. So trying to use a higher quality paper if you're going to be doing multiple washes over a paper like this. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this now, and then I'll peel my tape up and we'll see some magic lines up here. Okay, and you just want to slowly peel your tape away, and you want to try to get it to go flat. If you go up like this, you're likely to rip your paper, so try to pull it out like this. I'm not sure if there's a term for this, but just kind of pulling it at an angle or as sharp as you can. Alright, see, I did get a little bit of bleed. I think that one was lifting a little bit as I was getting toward the end, but for the most part I got it nice and crisp lines here. Any areas where you have a lot of extra, see here I had a little bit of, I wasn't paying attention to that, and I have a little bit of water that kind of pooled up there on the bottom. And I'll just try to make sure that bottom stripe is a black one instead of red there, just to kind of cover that up. Alright, and we'll go ahead and do this the same way we did the top. I'm just gonna follow my little lines to get some nice straight lines across. Make sure my edges of my tape are put down. I'm just using those little tick marks to get myself a nice straight line. I'm just lining it up on both sides. I'm just putting this next layer of tape down, you kind of get the idea that the plaid is coming and it's not just a stripe. You can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like now. Alright, make sure all my tape is nice and pressed down, and we'll go ahead and repeat exactly what we did for the last part. I'm splattering paint everywhere here. Alright, now you can really see that darker black happening. I don't want to go over that too many times, but If you do notice some spots where you're getting a little bit more water, especially along your tape edge, make sure you just kind of just run your brush back over that area, just spread that water out so that you don't end up with those little pooled up spots that will seep underneath your tape. I did have that problem there on the bottom down there before, but luckily it worked out that I was able to cover it up with another layer of black and hide that big old mistake on the bottom. Oops. I just bumped my camera arm, sorry. Get that to stop shaking. Okay, we'll let that dry and we'll peel up the tape and we'll see our end result here. Just peeling my tape up kind of at an angle so I don't rip my paper. And I do have a little bit of black that kind of just seeped here, so I'm just going to spread that out just a tiny bit just to hide those really harsh lines that I got there. Alright, that turned out really cool. I think this would make a really great card actually. I could fold it in half and make a nice little card, or I could split this up into two and stick it on the front of a card front. That'll make a really great kind of manly card or Christmas, so I really love it. And I'm so sorry about all of the extra noise you're hearing in the background. The lawnmower is so loud out there, but I didn't really feel like doing a voiceover on top of this. So I hope you had fun painting along with me. And like I said, if you didn't want to do the red, you could have just left that blank. So if you made one of these plaid paintings, I'd love to see it. Would you go ahead and tag me on Instagram, Mrs. Hand Painted. And of course, if you didn't have watercolors, you could do this with gouache, acrylic. The same exact steps would be taken. You would want to do a different tint in your black though for the lighter step, because if you're not using watercolor, you don't get that transparency effect as much. So keep that in mind if you're using a different medium for your painting. So have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching, and make sure you've subscribed to my channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming tutorials.